Whew, tremendous amount of emotions over the last couple of games, 4 days, 5 days, in a very strong position going into what was, I think, the final 25 minutes of the game. Looking at the way that we dictated the game, opportunities, certainly the first half, I thought we were by far the better team. I thought we navigated a bit of pressure in that second period very well, and then got ourselves the all-important second goal. The game turned on its head, of course, with a cheap goal that was given away, and breathed some life into Portland. And from the very outset, Gio was positive, a lot of creative players on the field. Watched plenty of their games. They're an enormously talented side, and to be 2-0 up and in such a strong position, it was, of course, exceptionally galling to come in and only grab a point out of this. Yeah, honestly, when I looked, if you're remarking on the goal midweek in the 93rd minute, we watched it in slow motion, and the big centre-back punches him, catches him on the side of the face, and it creates a difficulty for him to punch it. Should he have made contact with the ball? Maybe, but it's a foul. It was one of many that the officials missed that evening. So I'm not looking at that. I thought his performance in that game against Orlando was very, very good. He showed a lot of confidence. His start positions were good, and he was very reliable. As part of any growth and development, outfield or otherwise, you're going to make mistakes. There's no two ways about it. And if a goalkeeper makes a mistake, you've heard it a million times, chances are he's going to end up in the back of the net. The choices, decisions, and probably more importantly, which is, what I've just chatted with a group about, is having a feel of where the game's at. We didn't start the second half particularly well. We're 2-0 up against the run of play in that second period. We don't have to now break down their front line and play out from the back. We can take less chances instead of more. It's different if you're 2-0 down. You don't want to squander possession. So that's all part of his growth, to evaluate where we're at. And quite frankly, it was a ball that just needed to be cleared. There was little need to try and play round that front line. And it changes the face of the game. Honestly, you've got to remember there's probably a tremendous amount of fatigue in some of those players, third game in a week, to away games. That's just not physical, that's mental as well, to remain focused. And the other part of it is there's an emotional connection, as we all know. You've conceded, you're 2-0 up, you're in a very strong position. Now all of a sudden it's game on. And Portland are now suddenly on the front foot instead of on the back foot. I think you're absolutely right. The guys were caught off guard. It was, a ball that could be competed for straight down the middle of the field from Dax. Not dealt with well by the front lads. Maybe some mistakes in there with delivery and actual competing for the ball. A disconnect. But it was some of the choices behind that actually left a real straightforward opportunity, which was, two passes that broke through our midfield and then split between our back line and a full-back who was too high. Again, where are we at in the game? What choices do I need to make to navigate a period that, might be pretty difficult here for, 5 minutes? We're in a tough spot. We've suddenly gone from being in a really strong position to one that our opponents now believe they can get back in the game with. So I think, on reflection, when the guys go away, there'll be some players there thinking, I could have made a more sensible and reliable choice there. And when you look at the way the goals were given away, Gio will look at them and be absolutely delighted, of course. The second goal, we'll say, was a quick action. And I'll say we're better than that. We should be far more organised and prepared, and for the most part we were, but it's amazing the decisions and choices people make when all of a sudden there's a little bit more pressure than there was but 5 minutes before that. I don't think that's a clear or even concise look at where we're at. We've scored 2 goals at home. We've gone in front against a good side who've been on a good run after a difficult start, who were finalists last year. If we're looking at just today's game, we're moments away from being MLS Cup champions last year. So they're a good side. Let's not, make any bones about that. I thought there were moments in the first half where we're 1-0 up. We could have been more clinical. We had better opportunities and should have put ourselves in a better position. The chances came. I thought there was a little bit of complacency, but we still got ourselves that cushion and that 2-goal lead. If you look across the last 3 games, 2 of which, of course, have been away from home, we've put ourselves in strong positions. Obviously, the DC game, going 3 goals to the good, going in front against Orlando and playing very, very well in the first half. And a big part of the last couple of weeks has been about, okay, how do we take a grip of the game from obviously minute 1, and how do we put ourselves in a strong position so that we're going to hopefully go on and win it, but for sure get something out of this game. And you've got to have control. We've done that in the last 3 games. Something's really said today that we've not seen too often, fortunately, and that's to squander a 2-goal lead. And truly, the first one, of course, is a bit of an anomaly. I doubt we'll see Joe or Elliot do it too often. Likewise, a lot of other goalkeepers, because they normally learn from their mistakes when they give a goal away like that. So it's hugely frustrating. But in terms of how we've made positive steps from the last 2 home games against San Jose and Kansas, I think in leaps and bounds. We played with an extra attacker on the field today, a back 4, and we're far more aggressive in our outlook, and we got rewards for that. So I'm delighted that we've seen those positive steps. Always lessons to be learned, always. And today they're very harsh ones. Well, I think there's a little bit of a common theme that we can look at. So if I think about some of the games here, 2-0 up against Atlanta, what happened with the first goal? It's a gift. We actually conceded against Montreal 2-0 up, if you remember the goal. Gift. Today. Gift. Teams are not working for their goals. And until we get to a point, again, where we put them in a position where they have to beat us. We internally we're saying, come and beat us. And I think we've certainly, in the last 2 seasons, created a little bit of an image of, once you go in front, it's going to be tough to score against them. Well, I think we've given away some very soft goals this year. That's brutally honest. Does it mean that we're playing poorly? No, it doesn't. And in fact, I think we've improved as a group. I think we're more capable, certainly more experience within the group, and our evolution is taking place. But it doesn't matter what sport you're involved in, if you don't make the opponent work too hard, which they didn't for the first goal today, then there's always an incentive. And the incentive was for them today, if we could keep going, which they did, so credit to them. They got their goal. It certainly wasn't how we would like it to have been. But now, we're gonna take a little bit more of a chance here. If we could put them under some pressure, maybe there'll be another opportunity for us. And there's of course still areas of our game we can improve on. Am I frustrated and disappointed? 100%. Am I still looking at the group and saying we're more than capable of being in a very strong position come the end of the year? Absolutely. And do I think that there are still players in our group who are performing exceptionally well? Absolutely as well. We've just shot ourselves in the foot a little bit today, for sure. Alex's omission was unexpected. The mindset was always, we're coming back home. We were all frustrated with the way that the last two home games had gone. We've been exceptionally good at home. And the guys have put on some terrific displays and performances for this home crowd who, by the way, were wonderful again today. So we all wanted to be aggressive, not just me. I had a good chat with some of the senior players, and it was about being on the front foot and trying to dictate the game. And I thought they did a good job of making that work. So it was a choice, and it wasn't forced. As far as the future, I think we've proven today that the opportunity is there to play that way again. We've performed admirably in a back five. So I've got choices of how we might go about our business dependent on opponents. And I think the guys will be confident in whatever way we play. It's certainly not a concern. A long way off of that. Not when you see the position we were in and the way that the guys attacked the game at the end of a tough week. No, that's definitely not a concern. Listen, I agree totally with you. 10 points out of 21 is not a good return. But I think, whether it's a silver lining or not, what we have proven is that we are a competitive team wherever we go. And we know going away next week against Charlotte, we've got as good a chance of winning a game as not, or as we have here. And I think that's part and parcel of the way we're set up. But for sure, the confidence of winning games, the belief of holding on to good positions and good leads are something that come over not just a period of time, but over a period of games. It's the same with set pieces. It wasn't that long ago we were sitting here talking about, it's ridiculous the way that the guys are conceding from dead balls. Well, we've done a much, much better job, but it doesn't come overnight. You've got to back up good performances with good results, and that confidence builds, that belief builds. And I've no doubt that, as we move towards a good run of games that we still have at home, the guys will prove that. It just feels pretty crappy today, I've got to be honest.